Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरिहि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिहि ओम. ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः. स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्ददातु. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम. So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste. So we will chant the mantra and also the bhashyam sentence and continue. Tasmai ho vacha
तस्मै होवाच
द्वे विद्ये वेदितव्ये
द्वे विद्ये वेदितव्ये
इति हस्म यद् ब्रह्मविदः वदन्ति परा चैवापरा च. So we will read the bhashyam sentence also. Aparahi vidya avidya sa nirakartavya tadvichayehi vidite न किंचित तत्वतः विदितं स्यात् इति. Very good. So in the last class we discussed the objection raised by the Purva Pakshi, which was that the answer of Angiras to Shaunaka's question is vague and confusing. Because Shaunaka's question was, what was that one thing knowing which everything is as well known? And instead of talking about that one thing, the answer of Angiras, the teacher, is two types of knowledge are to be gained. So on the face of it, it seems the teacher either did not hear the question properly, or he did not know the answer and therefore he is giving a vague and confusing answer. The teacher is giving an answer, and this is the allegation of the Purva Pakshi, that the teacher is giving an answer to a question which was not asked. So The objection is that there is a defect in the Upanishad. See how these people wait to point out some defect. That is how, without understanding everything, these days people say Sanatana Dharma has to be abolished. They have no clue about what Sanatana Dharma is. Anyway, so Bhashyakara in this Samadhanam, which means clarification, said that there is no defect in the sequence of question and answer. And in that context, we saw that any communication involves two stages, which are removal of misconception and giving the right understanding. The answer to a question is expected to be given in this particular sequential order only. And Bhashyakara said that therefore Angiras has not done anything wrong because he has followed that method, which is the Shastric method. And in this shloka, he has just introduced the two Vidyas. He is going to deal with each of them in the mantras which follow, and he is going to follow the above order. He is going to present both of them, one for negation of the misconception, and the other is to establish the Siddhanta. So eventually, the teacher Angiras is going to answer the question. But then suppose he had answered the question, okay, by knowing Brahman, you will know everything. If he says that, what can a student who has newly come to Vedanta understand? His question, what is Brahman? Then he will have to go through. So what do you, I have studied Vedas for so many years, but Brahman was never talked about in the Purva Bhaga. All these questions will come. And therefore, the Shastras, taking into account all these requirements or all these clarifications which the student will require, has prescribed a method. And Bhashyakara says, Angiras is just following that particular method. And then Bhashyakara went on to clarify that Angiras first talked about Aparavidya with the intention of demonstrating that even though it is called Vidya, it is actually avidya. It is not knowledge at all. Because any knowledge should be capable of removing ignorance. And here we are talking about the ignorance of the true nature of three things. Jagat, Jiva and Ishvara. The true nature of the world, the true nature of the self, and the true nature of Ishvara. Now, Aparavidya is not capable of removing this ignorance. So, the ignorance of a person before he comes to Aparavidya remains unchanged even after he gains the knowledge of Aparavidya. And therefore, Aparavidya, Bhashyakara says, is actually avidya, not a knowledge at all. And establishment of this fact becomes relevant because many people, especially as we have seen, Purva Mimamsakas, claim that Aparavidya itself is capable of delivering moksha, the fourth Purushartha. But then they conveniently ignore the definition of moksha given at the end of the Vedas. They label going to Swarga or Vaikunta or Kailasa as moksha and say that Aparavidya is capable of delivering moksha because Aparavidya certainly is helpful by earning a lot of punyam, by doing all the ordained karmas to go to Swarga, Vaikunta, Kailasa, etc. as per one's own astha. But these Purva Mimamsakas, they turn their eyes away from the fact that the kind of moksha they talk about is only a temporary phase. Temporary phase in the jiva's life of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. Once their stock of punyam is exhausted, they will come back to the bhuloka. Therefore, people going to Swarga or Vaikuntha or Kailasha, etc., is not because their ignorance is gone, but because of the punyam earned by them, as I said, by performing the karmas ordained in the Veda Purva Bhaga. And therefore, that cannot be taken as real moksha, because once their stock of punyam, because of which in the first place they went to Swarga, etc., is exhausted, they will come back to the Martya Lokam, the Bhuloka, and continue their life's journey as a Jiva. It is something like, going to the so-called modern Swarga, which for many people is the United States of America. Sitting in India, they think that, oh, USA, great country, everything is beautiful, fine. I will go there, I will have no problems. Only when they go there, they realize what USA is. Anyway. So while going to the USA, this person may be carrying a lot of dollars. But his stay in the USA will last only till the stock of dollars last. Once the dollars are depleted, he has to come back to India and engage in earning more dollars again for his next trip to USA. That is exactly what happens for this Purva Mimamsakas moksha. You go there because of punyam, you exhaust all your punyam, enjoy the Swarga Loka. Once the punyam is exhausted, come back and start earning more punyam. And in the process also accumulate some papa also. So this is how the jiva's life goes from one birth to another birth. But according to the Vedas, what is the definition of moksha? Moksha is liberation or freedom from samsara, and that is gained only through paravidya. And therefore, Bhashyakara says it has to be first established. This misconception that aparavidya is vidya has to be removed. That it is avidya has to be established. And therefore he says, sa nirakartavya. Sa means avidya. That aparavidya which is avidya. Nirakartavya means should be negated. Aparavidya should be negated. Negated means we are not saying that aparavidya should be totally ignored. Aparavidya should be negated for the purpose of answering the question which Shaunaka asked. For that purpose, aparavidya is of no use. So it means that the wrong value attributed to aparavidya should be negated. Wrong value in the context of the question asked by Shaunaka. And what is the wrong value attributed? That this aparavidya itself can give moksha, as the Purva Mimamsaka says. So that particular idea about aparavidya should be negated. This is the first point Bhashyakara makes. And another misconception, as we saw, was the standpoint of Jnana Karma Samuchayavadis, who claimed that for moksha, Jnana Karma Samuchaya is required. That is, this aparavidya, this karma vidya, in combination with Paravidya alone is the means for moksha. And that idea about this combination of Aparavidya and Paravidya also should be negated. So, Aparavidya as an independent means for moksha should be negated. Aparavidya in combination with Paravidya simultaneously is the means for moksha. That misconception also should be negated. And Aparavidya is not really a vidya like Paravidya. And those who claim Aparavidya is really a vidya like Paravidya, that misconception should also be negated. So, sa nirakartavya. Here, sa is used feminine gender for vidya. Vidya is feminine. And this idea, Bhashikara further clarifies that how and why it should be negated. He says, tad vishayehi vidite na kinchit tatvatah viditam syat iti. Tad vishaye means Aparavidya vishaye. Here tad refers to Aparavidya. So Aparavidya vishaye, in the subject matter of Aparavidya, hi vidite, when it is indeed known, when the subject matter of Aparavidya is known, na kinchit means nothing. Tatvatah, in reality, viditam syat, would be known. Syat means would be, iti. Therefore, when the subject matter of Aparavidya is known, nothing is really known. Nothing in reality is known. And therefore, this Aparavidya is vidya should be negated. Because question was, what is it that knowing which everything else is known? But by knowing Aparavidya, you will not know anything else. So that vidya should be negated. Basically means Aparavidya, the vidya status should not be there. Because vidya means what? Knowledge. Knowledge means what? It should remove ignorance. Aparavidya does not remove any ignorance. Maybe you can argue Aparavidya removes the ignorance of Aparavidya. That is the maximum it does. So if you know there is something called Aparavidya, but you do not know what is that Aparavidya, by learning Aparavidya, that knowledge of what Aparavidya is, you will learn or you will gain. But your fundamental ignorance of a jiva, because of which the jiva, samsarati, samsare, in the samsara, jiva is just roaming around, wandering around. Aparavidya doesn't help him at all in that context. Any vidya should be that which removes the ignorance of reality. Since Aparavidya doesn't do that, it should be negated. So here, the idea conveyed is that subject matter of Aparavidya, which is karma and upasana, or dharma, adharma, punya, papa, are based on the kartrutvam. If you do only what you are supposed to do, perform the karmas what are ordained in the Vedas, and refrain from engaging in karmas which are prohibited in the Vedas. So you have to be a karta and kartrutvam should be there. And before going into Aparavidya, I already knew I am a karta and I am a bhokta. It is not that now by Aparavidya I have come to know these facts. Before going to Aparavidya, I knew I was a karta bhokta. After Aparavidya also, during Aparavidya also, I act as a karta bhokta. And after I finish Apara Vidya, also I continue to be karta bhokta. I continue to do my Sandhya Vandanam regularly. I continue to do my Upasana regularly. I continue to engage in all dharmic activities. So I am still continuing as a karta. Before karta comes Apara Vidya. After Apara Vidya, again karta. So basically, Apara Vidya takes this for granted. A jiva is a karta. And that is why Apara Vidya prescribes so many karmas and upasanas, etc. Apara Vidya does not talk about what is the real nature of the Atma, which is the karta. And therefore, whatever is known through Apara Vidya is in the realm of Dvaitam only, duality only. Jagat, Ishvara, Jagat, Jiva, Ishvara are three separate entities. I do not even know the relationship between Jagat, Jiva and Ishvara. I am one cog in the whole wheel of this creation as Jiva. So that is the conclusion one will come after learning everything about Aparavidya. And it is in this realm of conclusions based on avidya. And even after knowing the subject matter of Aparavidya, I remain Karta and Bhokta only. So earlier also there was Dvaitam. There are different objects in the world. I am different from everything else. And after Aparavidya also Dvaitam continues. I have not gained any knowledge. Therefore, Aparavidya is avidya which needs to be negated. Bhashyakara is emphasizing this point because vidya or knowledge is that which removes ignorance of what reality is. And that is Brahman, which knowledge only Paravidya gives. And by extension, we can come to the conclusion that all sciences, all subjects which we study in school, college, right up to PhD level are all Aparavidya or avidya only. So physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, economics, history, everything is avidya only. Because they do not teach about the only reality, Brahman. They don't teach the reality about myself. They do not remove the ignorance of myself. And that is why, except for the Vedanta and that too Upanishad, which is the real Vidya, that's why it's called Paravidya, the highest knowledge. So now in the next sentence, Bhashyakara is explaining the order which is to be followed in communications. We have already discussed this briefly when we saw the mantra. So he says, first we have to present the Purva Paksha. Purva literally means first. Paksha means view. So Purva Paksha means the first view, which here is a wrong view and which has to be negated. Even though in English they say that first impression is the best impression, but that will not be best impression if it is a wrong impression. Once we have actually presented that view, discussed that view, then we present the Siddhanta. So first negation of Purva Paksha, which includes, of course, the presentation of the Purva Paksha, then only Siddhanta, the right conclusion, should be presented. And this is the Nyaya, this is the established rule in the Shastra. That is how debates, etc., take place in the Shastra, Shastra Vichara, all take place. And that is how even normal communication should take place. So all possible views about any right conclusion should be presented and analyzed. And the Purva Pakshi should be given an opportunity to rebut. Only after all the debate is over, you can then come to the right conclusion. And that type of arrival at the right conclusion will be very well settled in the mind. It will not be shaken easily because all possibilities which can shake the conclusion have already been ruled out. And that is why in the introduction to Vedanta itself, first we talk about dharma, artha, kama, purusharthas. We don't talk about moksha purushartha first. We say there are four purusharthas. And in that four purusharthas, what is the order? We say there is dharma, artha, kama. Then later on, we talk about moksha. Because after having talked about dharma, artha, kama, we have to negate these three purusharthas, saying that they cannot give you what you are seeking. You are seeking liberation. You are seeking moksha from your samsara jivan. You are seeking to get rid of all your grief, your sorrow. You are seeking permanent, eternal happiness. And that this dharma, artha, kama cannot give. So first present all the possibilities, then highlight that these three purusharthas are incapable of giving liberation. And therefore, the pursuit of only moksha purushartha has the capacity to deliver liberation and freedom from bondage. Therefore, this is the order which has to be followed in communication. And this is what Bhashyakara is explaining in the next sentence. Nirakritya hi purvapaksham paschat siddhantah vaktavyah bhavati iti nyayat. Nirakritya hi purvapaksham. So here also that first purvapaksha nirakritya. First you have to do that. Having negated the purvapaksha, the opposite standpoint, paschat means thereafter, siddhantaha. Siddhantaha here means right conclusion. Vaktavyah bhavati should be told. Or bhavati means becomes. Vaktavya means that which deserves to be told. So the meaning of the sentence is, having negated the opposite view, thereafter alone, the right conclusion should be stated or should be mentioned, should be told. So the style of communication, the order of communication is what? Negation of Purvapaksha and then Siddhanta Pratipadanam, establishment of the Siddhanta. So here the Purva Paksha is what? Apara Vidya is the Purva Paksha. What is the Siddhanta? We have already discussed how or why Apara Vidya is Purva Paksha. Apara Vidya, which is presented as the standalone means for moksha, or Apara Vidya, which is presented as something to be combined with knowledge to get moksha. That Apara Vidya is the Purva Paksha, the opposite view, and that has to be negated first. And then Siddhanta should be told. So that there is complete clarity on the part of both people. Here, it is not an attempt to convert the Purva Paksha to our way of thinking, but only to present from our standpoint what is the right way, and that this communication should be followed. This order of communication. So his Bhashyakara says, iti nyayat. This established rule being there, naisha dosha, therefore there is no dosha. There is no defect in the mantra. There is no defect in the Upanishad. So the bhashyam for this mantra is completed, where the objection raised by the Purva Pakshi has been answered. Or we can say the Upanishad has introduced the answer. So Angiras told that two vidyas are to be known. Para Vidya is the legitimate Vidya, the knowledge knowing which everything in the world will be essentially known. And Apara Vidya is introduced for two purposes. One is that initially it becomes the means for Chitta Shuddhi. And later on, once it has delivered its result in terms of purity or purification of the heart or the mind, later Apara Vidya is to be negated as not being the means for moksha. And therefore, this is a introductory mantra where the types of vidyas are talked about as a prelude to detailed elaboration in the mantras that follow. Now we will go to the next mantra, mantra number 5. I will read the mantra, you can repeat, then we will discuss. Tatra para
Tatra para
Rigveda Yajurveda Rigveda
Rigveda
Yajurveda
Rigvedaha Yajurvedaha
Samavedortharvavedah
Samavedotharvavedaha
Diksha Kalpah
Shikshakalpaha
Vyakaranam Niruktam
Vyakaranam Niruktam
Chandah
Chandah
Jyotishamiti
Jyotishamiti
Athapara
Athapara
Yaya
Yaya
Tad Aksharam
Tadaksharam
Adhigamyate.
Adhigamyate.
So first I will give you the Padacheda, then we will discuss the mantra. Tatra apara Rigvedah, Yajurvedah, Samavedah, Atharvavedah, Siksha, Kalpah, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chandah, Jyotisham iti. Atha para yaya tad aksharam adhigamyate. This is the Padacheda. So that each word is clear. Tatra. Tatra means there. There means where? There means among the two, between the Paravidya and Aparavidya, which have been talked about in the previous mantra. Among those two, Apara. Apara here refers to Aparavidya or lower knowledge. Lower knowledge, which is in the form of Aparavidya. This is in the form of 10 bodies of knowledge. 10 topics are covered. What are they? Rigveda. Rigveda means the Veda which is containing Rig mantras. Rig, the word Rig in Rigveda means praise, or it has another meaning also called verse. So Rigveda is full of, it is set to metric, form. That is, it is in meters. It is not prose, it is poetic. So metrical mantras are called Rig mantras. Those mantras which have got a structure. Like, we have got different chandas. Like that, the Rig mantras have also got certain structure. That means they have to follow certain rules of poem, the writing a poem or creating a poem. How many akshara should be there, how many words should be there, etc. There are rules. So the Rig mantras are in poetic form. But here, it will be useful to recall that before the time of Vedavyasa, there was only one body of knowledge called Veda. And it was a mixture of all poem, prose, music, everything. Basically, three Vedas. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda were called one Veda. Atharva Veda came later. So, those days, of course, people were of very, very high intellectual capability. They were able to actually memorize this entire Vedas. All three Vedas, they were able to memorize all the mantras. And not only these Vedas, every Veda had got its own branches also. Shakas were there, which had different, some slight differences in the mantra, different mantras, etc. And those people had the capability to actually memorize all these mantras in a period of about 12 to 14 years when they were in the Gurukulam. Then when Veda Vyasa appeared on the scene, it was the end of Dwapara Yuga. Kali Yuga was going to come. And Veda Vyasa, being a visionary and avatara of Vishnu, knew what is going to happen in Kali Yuga. He felt that if people are presented in Kali Yuga with their low intellectual capability, they will totally neglect these Vedas. And therefore, he engaged in a exercise to codify the Vedas into three Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda. And that is what today we have got as three Vedas. And later on, Atharva Veda also appeared. In fact, there is one version which says that Rig Veda, all the mantras in the original Veda, which were actually set to poetic meters, Veda Vyasa combined them and put them as Rig Veda. Then mantras which were in prose form, they were actually combined and collected and put together as Yajur Veda. Then mantras which were, musical, which were set to some musical, parameters, they were collected together, and Samaveda was, created. Oh, this is why then what Veda Vyasa said, that you can now choose which Veda you want to follow. You want to follow Rig Veda, okay, you become a Rigvedi. Want to follow Yajur Veda, you become a Yajur Vedi. Yajur Veda also there were two types, Krishna Yajur Veda and Shukla Yajur Veda. So again there was a choice. People from North India, they chose Shukla Yajur Veda, whereas people from South India, they chose this Krishna Yajur Veda. Then Sama Veda was there. So that is why today we have got all these people. When we go, what is your Vedam? I'm a Rig Vedi, I'm a Yajur Vedi. Then Shaka and everything will come back. And now from the time of Veda Vyasa onwards, whenever we are talking about Veda Purva Bhaga, we talk about all these four Vedas, including Atharva Veda, because as I said, Atharva Veda was added later on. One version is that all those mantras which did not fit into these three classification, Veda Vyasa actually combined them into a miscellaneous Veda called Atharvana Veda. But the word Atharvana itself is a derivation from Atharva Rishi. So there is another version which according to me is a more authentic version, that Atharva Rishi actually visualized those mantras and gave it to the world. They are just miscellaneous mantras. In fact, they are also Atharva Veda also got Upanishads. In fact, one of the very most popular Upanishad, which is called Ganesho Atharva Sirsha Upanishad, many of us have learned that Upanishad. That is from Atharva Veda. So anyhow, that is I just thought that when we are talking about the Vedas, I'll give you some more information about the structure of the Vedas. So Rig Veda was in poetic form. Yajur Veda means the mantras which are containing Yajur mantra. Yajuhu or Yajus means worship or sacrifice. Yajur mantras are in unstructured prose form. Whereas Rig Veda will be in a poetic form, this will be in prose form. That is Padya, this is Gadya. Then Samaveda. Samaveda is Veda which is containing Sama mantras. The word Sama itself means song. So the mantras which are set to musical tune are called Sama mantras. Most of the mantras are Rig mantras only, set to tune. They are referred to also as Sama Gayan, Sama mantras also. So based on the type of mantras, the name are given as Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, etc. And this particular basis of nomination or nomenclature is only for the three Vedas, as I said, not for Atharva Veda. We should not say that Atharva Veda means Veda containing Atharva mantras, Atharva type of mantras. There is nothing called Atharva type of mantras. That's not right. Atharva Veda, as I said, is the name given based on the Rishi who has actually visualized most of these mantras of this Veda. So Atharva Veda is Atharva Rishi Drashta Mantra Mantra Yukta Veda. Atharva Rishi Drashta Mantra Yukta Veda. So this Veda is containing the mantras which are visualized, which are seen by a Rishi called Atharva, and therefore Atharva Veda. So Veda containing Rig mantras is Rig Veda, Veda containing Yajur mantras is Yajur Veda, Veda containing Sama mantras is Sama Veda. Though these three are based on the types of mantras, but the fourth Atharva Veda contains the mantras visualized by a Rishi called Atharva. So these are the four Vedas and they all form part of Apara Vidya. Then the mantra talks about another aspect of the Vedas. The Angas, the 6 Angas. Angas means limbs, or you can call it auxiliary science or auxiliary discipline of knowledge, which is also included in Apara Vidya. So the 4 Vedas, they are called Angi, the main body, and the 6 Angas, Shadhangas. What are they? Which are Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chanda, Jyotisham. All these 6 are also part of Apara Vidya. No, it is like if somebody wants to master physics, he has to have a good grip over mathematics also. Because physics involves a lot of mathematics. A lot of calculations are involved. So, mathematics will be Anga for physics. Similarly, here for Vedas, one requires the 6 Angas to completely understand the content of the Vedas. Shiksha is phonetics, the discipline of knowledge dealing with the pronunciation of letters, words, etc. That is called Shiksha. And this Shiksha Shastra is required especially for the study of Vedas because depending upon the pronunciation of the letter, sometimes the meaning itself may change. If you say Sakrit, it has got the meaning of once. Sakrit means once. But if you little bit wrongly pronounce Sakrit as Shakrit, Shakrit means cow dung. Totally different meaning. So, while chanting the Veda mantras, pronunciation is very important. Because when we are chanting the Veda mantras, who is the person who is listening? It is Ishvara in the form of this entire cosmic order which is listening. So, if you pronounce it wrongly and it conveys a wrong meaning, you will be in trouble. Then there are swaras in the Veda mantras, which are also very important part of pronunciation. Basically, we have got three swaras, Udata, Anudata, and Swarita. It is said, Uchcher Udata, Nicher Anudata, Samaswarita. All these are all to be taken care of, and if they are not pronounced properly, sometimes it can give you an opposite meaning also. In fact, in Sri Suktam, this comes. Lakshmi and Alakshmi are two words used. So, in place of Lakshmi, suppose you pronounce Alakshmi, gone. So, bless me with Lakshmi will become bless me with Alakshmi. So, one has to be very careful in chanting the Vedas. And that is why another reason is Vedas, you must never split the words. You must learn to chant the words as they appear. For your convenience, you cannot split the words. So there are all rules of grammar, how pronunciation is to be done. All that will come in Siksha. And it's a very, very important area of knowledge which one needs to acquire for learning proper chanting of Vedas, for learning proper interpretation of the Vedas. Then the next one is Kalpaha. Kalpaha is the discipline of knowledge dealing with rituals. The method of doing rituals. That's why, when we do the sankalpa and all that while doing puja, kalpokta prakarena pujam karishye. That's what the word will come. Those who regularly do puja will know. So there is a prescribed methodology for doing the puja, shodashocha, upachara, puja and all that. One has to follow that strictly. Then only the puja will give the result what you are asking. You cannot have your own system of doing puja. Kalpyate yaga prayogah yena sah kalpah. Kalpyate samartyate yaga prayogah yena sah kalpah. There are two definitions of kalpa. That discipline of knowledge by which the yaga prayoga, the method of doing the ritual, is samartyate, is supported. For all this, the main pramanam is Veda only. How to do what is taught by this particular discipline of knowledge, and that is called kalpaha, which is in the form of many sutra granthas. And therefore, people who go to the Patashala and all that, they have to learn all these things, all the Veda only, not only the four Vedas, they learn all the six Angas also. That's why it takes such a long time, 12 years, etc. 12, 15 years. Then a very important Anga, Vyakaranam, grammar. That discipline of knowledge by which words are expanded, unfolded. It teaches how words are formed in the language, how verbs are formed, how nouns are formed, then adverbs, adjectives, etc., how they are all formed. All these are explained so that you use the words appropriately. Your usage of the words will be appropriate, grammatically correct, and convey the correct meaning. Correct meaning to those who know Vyakaran, who know Sanskrit. In fact, there are purists, and they are deeply disturbed if somebody uses a wrong word. And that is why, I'm told, of course, I have not witnessed it. Small young boys, shaven head and all that, they will be in the Patashala. And the teacher will be having, the guru will be having a stick in his hand. And if any student is heard wrong pronunciation or using a word wrongly, one hit on the head will be there. And it's a bald head, shaven head. Brahmachari. You can imagine the pain. It is the pain which is induced to make you remember not to commit mistakes. And therefore, even if one does not study the other angas, study of Vyakaranam, study of grammar is a must. And in fact, there are so many grammars. In fact, it is said that Hanumanji knew 9 types of grammars. Here we find it difficult to even learn one type of grammar. And that is what Panini Maharaj has codified as Ashtadhyayi, which is now available, popular. Lot of people are teaching Ashtadhyayi. So 9 types of grammars are called in the Shastra. There are 9 types of commas. So this is grammar part of it. One has to learn grammar. In fact, even coming, now you have not gone to the Patashala. You have no idea at Aparavidya. You have no idea about Kalpam, Niruktam, etc. But still, if you are attending Bhagavad Gita classes, if you are attending Upanishad classes, a little bit of grammar is necessary. Even when you are performing puja, now the priest is saying something. If you know a bit of Sanskrit grammar, you can easily make out what is being chanted. And probably, if you are so good at it, if the priest is making a mistake, you can point out that this is a mistake. This is not the correct word you are using. You can point out to the priest. Because priests are also human. They also will commit mistakes. So this is the grammar, Vyakaranam part to be learned. Vyakaranam Anga. Next one is Niruktam. Niruktam means the discipline of knowledge dealing with the etymology of Vedic words. So Vedic etymology is Niruktam. So where the meanings of the words used in the Vedas are very well defined, that Shastra is called Niruktam. Like there is a word called Rudram. So it is explained how the word Rudram is derived in so many ways. And each one will have a different meaning. Rauti iti Rudram. And the word Rauti itself has different meanings like praise, singing, crying aloud, making a big sound, etc. Then another derivation is Rodayati iti Rudram. Rodayati means the one who is making the enemies cry is Rudram. So different meanings are there. And therefore Niruktam becomes very important while learning and while explaining. Contextual meaning of the words which are used in the Vedas, we will be able to give. So those discussions are there in this Niruktam Anga, Niruktam part. And it is very close to Vyakaranam, even though their differences are there. Vyakaranam teaches you the rules. Niruktam is application of the rules. That way you can understand. Then the next one is Chandaha. Chandaha means the discipline of knowledge dealing with the meters. Meters means what? Structure of the verses. The science of versification, if I can use that word. That is the definition of Chandaha. So versification means how to form the verses in a particular structure. Because you cannot simply form the slokas as you want. When you want to actually form a sloka on your own, you have to follow the structure. I think in English it is called prosody. You have to follow the rules. And generally we give the example of Anushtup Chandaha because it is very easy. Easiest chanda. In Bhagavad Gita also we have got two chandas, two structures of the slokas. One is Anushtup Chandaha, other is Trishtup Chandaha. So in Gita, entire Gita, only two chandas are used. The first sloka, Dharma Kshetre Kuru Kshetre. And the rest of the verses are in Anushtup Chanda. In fact, in our literature, Sanskrit literature, most of the Puranas, Itihasa, etc., all of them are said to Anushtup Chanda. Anushtup Chanda is very extensively used. It is the most used chandas. And that's why, in Veda Patashalas, I am told, where children will be studying the Vedas, they play a game called Antakshari. I'm sure all of you know what is Antakshari. One student will say a sloka, and taking the last letter of the verse, the next student will have to recite a sloka starting with that letter. And that is the Antakshari those Veda students play. Really, we all play it with film songs and all, Tamil, Hindi and all that, but they play with this thing. And the last one is Jyotisham. Jyotisham is, we all know, very, very popular. Generally, we translate Jyotisham as astrology, but really speaking, it is astrology and astronomy both put together is what Jyotisham. Jyotihi means luminaries, the stars, planets, satellites. So visually, which are luminaries for us, they are called Jyotihi. And the science or discipline of knowledge dealing with the movement of these luminaries is called Jyotisham. So that we can decide when there will be a Grahanam, when there will be Amavasya, when there will be Purnima, etc. Because it is not that Purnima will be exactly after 15 days after Amavasya. It is not an English calendar. In English calendar, 15th August will be there after 15 days from 31st July. But in Indian calendar, it is not like that. 15 days, 15th day may come after the 14th day, or it can come after the 16th day also. And therefore, we require the study of the movement of the luminaries, and that study is called Jyotisha. And secondly, the movement of the stars and planets are indicators of certain happenings in the world, both at the individual level and at the cosmic level. That study is called astrology. Astrology is the study of the indicative effect of the movements of the luminaries. And astrology is also included in Jyotisha. Puja Swamiji explains this very well. He says, we should not think that the planets are affecting us, that this Mars is sitting here, is affecting my marriage prospects, etc. Because people with scientific spirit will question this. How can Mars planet, which is far, far away, affect me from there? What can it do to me? How the sun can do anything to me? So it is not that Rahu is angry with you, or Ketu is angry with you, or Shani is angry with you. Others counter that they affect by sending rays to you from there. All these are very funny. Such logic will not hold. Because if rays are being sent, then it should affect everybody in the same way. But that does not happen. But that does not mean that they do not have any effect. I'll take 1 minute or 2 minutes and then complete this. The situation and the movement of planets are indicators of karma. There is a connection. But we must remember they are only indicators. They are just indicating the possible happening. And that is interpreted, understood by people who are studying astrology. So they are indicating our karma both at the individual level and total level. And therefore, the position and movement of the planets determine the Shani Dasha, Guru Dasha, etc. in one's horoscope based upon one's own karmas, past karmas. And therefore, what is to be done? If they say that now Shani Dasha is going to come, which could create some problem, they advise us to do some puja, some parayanam, some japa, etc. Because Shani is also looked upon as a devata. So offer prayers to the devata. So offering to worshipping Shani, you are worshipping Ishvara, you worship the Lord. How? Because we say Sarvadeva Namaskaram, Keshavam Pratigachyati, and therefore if you understand it in this manner, it will help you mitigate your karma at the minimum or even neutralize some of the weak karmas. Then our approach will be rational approach. There will not be any fear. At the same time, we can use that particular science, and therefore the Shastra should be used judiciously. More we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
Dhanyavadaha.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ. Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ
very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Guruji,
Thank you. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Niruktam can be interpreted as synonyms, kind of equivalent words.
No, Niruktam will explain. Equivalent words will be there, but what is the, if at all there is any slight shade of difference in meaning, but Niruktam will explain that.
Okay.
So Niruktam is a science which you have to, dealing with the etymology, how the words are formed and how to derive a meaning in a particular context.
Okay.
So, because see, Vedas or Sanskrit words, sometimes, similar sounding words will be there when you use Kartari Prayoga, Karmani Prayoga. Now, whether a particular word is used as a Karmani Prayoga or Kartari Prayoga, you will not know unless you know the derivation. For all that, and this will happen in Vedas also, for all that, Niruktam is very useful. It's wider than what you are saying. What you are saying is correct, but it's only a part of that Niruktam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened to your YouTube issue, Guruji?
YouTube, I have made an appeal.
Uh-huh.
They said 48 hours, they will get back to me.
Okay.
But what has happened is, of course, it's not a worrisome thing because I have got in my hard drive all my talks right from the last 6 years saved. The videos are saved. So that is there. Now, what I found out was there was one channel of mine which I probably initially started. But then after I, set up this Arsha Nidhi channel, I have not been using that channel. So what I will do is today's video, and till this issue is resolved, I will use that channel to post the videos and then circulate
Okay.
this thing, what's that called? The links.
Mhm.
Then if this is resolved, well and good. If it is not resolved, then we will look at other alternatives like Vimeo or somebody has given lot of good suggestions. So I will look at those and maybe switch over. Ultimately, we are not here to monetize anything. It's
Yeah,
only
correct.
content distribution, ease of content distribution. We
Yes.
want a channel, isn't it? So process to one. So that is, we will see how it works out. Okay.
Thank Guruji.
Aryo, thank you. So any other doubts, etc.?
Namaste, Guruji. I could join only half an hour later because I was driving.
Oh,
Guruji, but not every class I am able to sit down and make notes. For some of the classes, what I miss, I listen to it again and make notes. So, what about the Mundakopanishad 3 sessions, Guruji? That will be, will there be any opportunity to access them? And just wanted to know that.
sorry, what's the Manduka You want
The Mundakopanishad, the previous episodes have been all erased.
removed, yeah. See, the problem is if I just circulate the video recording of Zoom, I'm not sure whether it can be opened and viewed. Let me see that. I mean, if it is possible, because I have got all this videos. Okay, the original videos before they were uploaded into YouTube, I have got those videos. So if I can circulate it, I will happily share it with all of you. In fact, if you want that. But let us wait for a couple of days if they reinstate for whatever reason. See, because I think there is this, I mean, it's just my own guess. There could be a political angle also to this because now this new information, this act, has come into
Data protection.
1st of February. Now this has actually put all these YouTube, all these kind of social media people under a lot of pressure in terms of compliance. So there's a possibility that in order to actually make it easy for them, they have removed so many channels so that they don't need to keep on monitoring all those channels. That's a possibility. I'm just guessing. But then they have to give a reason, and the reason they say our guidelines, are breached. Without telling what is the kind of breach that is there, violation is there, and they're not disclosing that. So anyhow, let us see, because so many changes globally are taking place, and we are entering a stage where there is going to be a lot of upheaval, lot of confusion and things like that and all. In fact, everybody is going to be at everybody else's throat rather. That is what the world is coming to. So we have to.
Especially the introduction of the AI.
To suffer. Sorry.
With the introduction of the AI, that confusion is going to be much more.
AI is one part. The other part is even political leaders. They are all becoming, non-cooperative. So that earlier the spirit of accommodation is vanishing rather. So many things are taking place simultaneously. So we will have to wait and see where it all leads to that. As of now, there's total confusion. Because what has happened is dharma and adharma has got mixed up together. So the Asuri tendencies have actually gained the upper hand. So even people who actually once upon a time were dharmic people, today are trying to justify adharma as dharma. So that is what is happening. So let us see. I mean, I don't want to elaborate on these, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's hope for the best. If this doesn't
even
come,
if they reinstate, Guruji, even if they reinstate your channel, the lost channels are lost. We will not be able to access them, right, Guruji?
sorry.
Even if the YouTube reintroduces your channel, the video recordings that have been lost now, they have been
They have only removed the channel. They have not deleted the videos. That's what I understand. Okay. If they reinstate the channel, everything will be reinstated back.
Okay. Oh, that's happening.
That is
Okay.
what my understanding is. Of course,
Okay.
worst case scenario, let's say they don't do it. Then the other this thing are there, for sharing these
Okay.
videos and all.
Yeah.
I will upload them. It may probably take a little more time, but I will upload them into those apps
Yeah.
and then share those links once again with everybody. That I can do. So here the problem is there. We have to find what are all the solutions. Solution A, solution B, solution C. I am sure we will solve it. It's not a problem. That's not a
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Hari Om. So
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Hari Om.
Have a nice flight back, Sulekha ji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I think we will close the session and continue next week.